Right. So I will present you the second paper. This is the third presentation of the second paper. I am Michael. I am an IT engineer. So I am going to present you some focus on the technology. Can you hear me? Because I seem to have lost your sound.
Yes, we can hear you.
Right, so everything okay. So this presentation is about the intelligent data repository for the music collab project. I assume that you saw the presentation from Chrisoula's presentation, and it is evident that the repository plays a somehow central role in the infrastructure. A lot of things can be said for the repository. I'm going to show you a small demo, and we're going to talk a little bit about the technology. So we're going to be very specific and not very much in depth. So the functionality of this informational system can be categorized in content management. That is, it keeps files of interest and allows users to share them among them. It works with Moodle and the Verovia 100 Viewer score editor, and it also offers some utilities, some pieces of functionality that allow users to work more efficiently, like tagging, searching, recording, playing music, and it is also responsive. It can play from various smart devices, etc. And of course, since it is an informational infrastructure, it can be extended to include more elaborate functionality, such as metadata extraction, content searching by content, WAV and MIDI synchronization, and practically anything you can plan on or work or want such a system to support. So a little bit about the technology, just a few words. We're using HTML, JavaScript, and CSS, Bootstrap for responsiveness, WebRTC for audio streams, Ajax, and widgets, JavaScript widgets. We are using basic DES encryption in order to take advantage of the Moodle authentication mechanism, and we have developed, not me, but some of our colleagues here, auto taggers, content fingerprinted solutions, and WAV to MIDI synchronization based on some of the technologies you can see here, which is the Essentia library for music analysis. Okay, some specific open source projects for spectrogram analysis, and other known libraries for music. So we usually present how the system is structured. So we have a web server capable to handle different blocks of usability, and the web server essentially commits or calls code and logic from the middleware where all the magic happens. Every dynamic piece of code runs. So in the middleware, which runs on PHP, we can authenticate users against the other databases. We can start individual threads in order to call analysis engines or custom code. And of course, this is where we have the basic data management logic that manages our content. So this is a prototype. Dr. Alexandraki mentioned it. So it is managed, but the code is managed. It is on alpha, and everything is managed as it should. So instead of presenting slides, maybe I could show you some of its functionality. So this is it. We log in this repository. It is responsive. You can see that. That's what Bootstrap does. And we have organized the functionality into the pieces I mentioned before. Let's see, in somewhat of a hurry, what this repository can offer in terms of interaction with Moodle. So this tab is reads information from Moodle. There was a question during the previous or the first presentation about evaluation. So this is where things must be evaluated from our perspective. Moodle is not always easy to manage, especially in terms of files and content. So we have to decide how much we would dig into Moodle and support the functionality in our repository. So this page presents the files that users maintain in the Moodle, in the LMS.
Do you share your browser? Because we do not see your browser. Is that what you're showing, or the slide?
The browser.
No, we cannot see the browser. Do you have two screens? Did you share the...
Right.
Just share the whole screen, because we see the PowerPoint.
Is it?
Yeah, now it's better.
Right.
Yeah, thanks.
So this is the page that essentially pulls information from Moodle. Moodle is not easy to play or to handle in all cases. So this is where evaluation comes in, at least from the technological perspective. A useful piece of functionality is for musicians to access private files. In the sense, private files, in the sense that Moodle defines private files. You can see them now. So our repository allows to read from Moodle each user's files. And also supports links, dynamically produces links to one's courses, such as this. But this is not the main thing, the main objective for our repository. Our repository primarily holds files, so you can upload files. We can select any file and upload it. That's what I'm looking for. And then we select the file, and we must decide where to put it in our public files or private files. Public files support several functionalities, first of which is to download the file. This repository is fat. It's a real repository, so this link is not just a link. You cannot access the file if you are not logged in, something that the simple HTML anchor tag does not support. The simple HTML anchor tag just publishes, but we are checking other things before serving each file. The second thing I would like to show is our metadata page. This is where users may describe their file so that they keep this information in the system and they keep it organized. Their content is kept organized as they wish. So I can change the composer. Or define any property decided here and submit it. And this is where the first smart or dynamic functionality is
intelligent.
We can execute a suggestion. So we have now spawned a process, an individual process that uses an auto tagger based on the essential music analysis library that reads the metadata of files and returns it to our repository. This is an asynchronous operation. It takes time, so the system is waiting for metadata to be generated, and we can continue browsing and later see the result. So we can then copy our file to, or move it to our private files. Let's copy it, our private files. It was 6 light jazz. It's copied now, it was copied. Or we can save it, export it to Moodle. If we export this file to Moodle, it will be added to the database of the LMS. Or we can play it, of course. All right, and let's see if or metadata, the metadata tagging engine has finished, and we can now see its suggestions. So this piece is jazz. That's what the tagger suggests. The key, the scale, and the musical content have also been produced, and we can either accept it or define something else. Let's accept this suggestion, and now the database for this file has been updated. So back in the public or the private files, for that matter, we can tag each file. So I have put a lot of tags in for this particular file. I can remove 1 or 2. So we all know why tags are used. They mark specific areas of interest or sets of interest, so that we can find or group or search our files. Another piece of functionality, the last one, that is worth showing, I believe, is how the system is able to call the score editor. If there is a KRN file, the system produces an additional link, dynamically that is, and you can open this file in the score editor. And of course, you can use all the utilities that Chrisoula presented, and those that will be presented in later presentations. So I'm trying to be quick here to present as much as possible. Once the database is populated, of course, we can search. So we have things to search, we have information, and we can use this information in multiple ways. So let's see how many files are written in a major scale according to the tagger or according to users, all right? or we can search according to the key and the genre. Right, only two, fine. Or the composer. Or we can also define tags, the scale, tempos, everything. You understand. I mean, if you have a database with files, the first thing you can do, the richer the database, the more valuable the search engines. So what else can we do? We can we have included the deja vu GitHub code in order to experiment with exact matching. So I may upload a file for the time being, or we are in the process of programming the second form. That is, we can select the file, but for the time being, we must upload it. And the spectrogram fingerprinting will run. It will produce the FFT, the characteristic points, and it will compare them against the database of fingerprints. A lot of technology there, a lot of ideas. The code is open. Everybody who is interested may propose different approaches, or may study the code and the solution. So this is running in the background, and it usually takes 15 or 20 seconds. Let's see. So this is the result. It found the same file with a very high confidence. I am keeping lower results with lower confidences, but in essence, in this piece of functionality, we're aiming for absolute confidence. We want to find the exact same match. If we want to search for similar results, we may use this method developed by Dr. Zervas, which compares the input to the files, which are also sampled, and produces this representation as a graph and as a list also. And this is how users may find similar pieces to the ones they are interested in. So they can search by content, by recording. I can record my voice and submit and search if there is something similar in the repository. And also I can record the multi-track music. I can play one piece, keep it in the first audio tag, then a second one, then a third, and combine them all and upload them. So this is a basic overview of the repository. A lot of things to say, a lot of things to elaborate, a lot of technology, and if one is to evaluate things, they may consider several aspects of the system. The technological aspect is very interesting. I mean, how musicians accept such a piece of technology. What are the basic pieces of functionality most wanted and most useful to them? I believe that there are a lot of there is literature on this matter, and maybe it's a good idea for us to look into it. And of course, we have a lot of work to do to improve this tool and make it more production ready. So that's all I have to present you, or at least most part of what I have.
Thank you, Michali. So there is time for one question, or maybe two, Michelle? No. Is there any question from the people who watched this presentation? Yes, please. So, Christopher Raphael.
Thanks for the nice talk. So you're pulling in a lot of different elements from diverse, disparate sources. I am missing what your vision is for what you're trying to do. I thought this was about teaching people jazz. And you showed all of these examples of basically music information retrieval kinds of things. How is that relevant to teaching jazz?
To me, it's obvious from the technological point of view. I mean, we're trying to help people do their job. So they have the LMS model, they have their content here, they have organized their material, and maybe they want to organize their files better, because if you attempt to manage a lot of files in Moodle, you will definitely see that it's not very user-friendly. Its CMS features are not there. It's not about managing files, let alone musical files and musical content. So we're thinking maybe musicians would like to have a database of files, and maybe they would like to share files. So they may have public files and private files. If there is a database, a repository such as this one for musicians, they would like to play a file, an MP3 file or a WAV file, and if they had a KRN file, which is a score, they would like to click a button and open and have the score opened in Verovio, and then edit the score, or make a call, a teleconference with by means of Jitsi or any other tool. And if they use the CMS for real teaching, maybe it would be good to help them organize their data on a second level, not only know and register file names and file types, but also let them include metadata. So this, let me create a tag. They could organize my project guitar. That's a new tag, all right? So in public files, this file, Light Jazz, now is tagged because it's part of my project for my guitar lessons, let's say. Or if this functionality, all those pieces of functionality contribute to better and better.
Excuse me to interrupt, Michali.
Yes.
Michali, excuse me to interrupt. I think you were asking about the intelligent part of the repository, the intelligent functionalities.
Well, that's
how they contribute to learning.
That's where we are going. I mean, if you have a lot of data, you gradually the musician will gradually need more and more intelligent functionality. So they will start to maybe want similarity matching, because they want to find something similar than with that which they expect they want to teach or play. So these things pile up from a technological point of view. We got to consider them. And since they pile up, because it is functionality useful and because technology progresses, we have to evaluate them sooner or later, and there are models that for technology evaluation. I'm not sure about if they concern music, but this would be an interesting question, an interesting aspect from my point of view. So this is the vision. It's an LMS.
Mihaly,
repository.
we are running out of time.
Right.
I'm sorry. Well,
Stopping.
thank you.
Right.
Thank you for the question, and we can discuss everything afterwards as well.
Thank you.
So we need to go to the next presentation with our colleague